Did you know the co-star Estelle Getty wanted to leave the show? Estelle Getty was born Estelle Scher on July 25th, 1923, in New York City, to Polish Jewish immigrants. Growing up in the bustling Lower East Side, she developed a love for theater at an early age, often sneaking off to see plays and dreaming of one day being on stage herself. Despite facing early rejection due to her petite size and unconventional appearance, Estelle's determination never wavered. She spent years performing in small productions while working as a secretary and raising a family. It wasn't until her 50s that she gained recognition, defying the odds in an industry that often overlooks older women. Her breakthrough came with the Broadway play Torch Song Trilogy, but it was her role as Sophia Petrillo in the beloved sitcom The Golden Girls that made her a household name. Estelle Getty's humble acting beginnings. Estelle Getty's acting career didn't follow the typical Hollywood path. For decades, she juggled family life and secretarial jobs while chasing roles in community theater and off-Broadway productions. Her passion was undeniable, even though she didn't achieve real success until much later in life. She often performed in small New York productions, working tirelessly to sharpen her comedic timing and stage presence. Her big break didn't come until she starred in Harvey Fierstein's Torch Song Trilogy, where her performance as the fiercely loving Jewish mother drew critical acclaim. It was this role that finally put her on the radar in the industry. Despite years of rejection, Estelle never gave up. Her persistence proved that talent and heart can triumph over age and convention. Estelle Getty's Broadway breakthrough in Torch Song Trilogy. Estelle Getty's career-transforming moment came with her unforgettable role in Harvey Fierstein's groundbreaking play Torch Song Trilogy. Cast as Mrs. Beckoff, the sharp-tongued yet emotionally complex Jewish mother of a gay drag performer, Getty delivered a performance that was as hilarious as it was heart-wrenching. Despite having no major stage credentials, she infused the role with raw authenticity, drawing from her own roots as a Jewish mother from New York. Audiences and critics alike were stunned by her emotional range, comic timing, and unwavering sincerity. It wasn't just a part. It felt like her entire life had been preparing her for this role. The play's success off-Broadway and eventual transfer to Broadway gave Getty long overdue recognition. She was no longer just another struggling actress. She had arrived. Her portrayal became iconic and led directly to her being cast as Sophia Petrillo on The Golden Girls. But it was Torch Song Trilogy that proved Estelle Getty didn't need glamour or youth to captivate an audience. Just honesty, grit, and heart. Estelle Getty's rise to television icon. Estelle Getty reached the pinnacle of her career when she was cast as Sophia Petrillo on the hit NBC sitcom The Golden Girls, 1985 and 1992. Although she was actually younger than her on-screen daughter, Bea Arthur, Getty's transformation into the feisty, sharp-tongued Sicilian mother, complete with a white wig and wisecracking attitude, was nothing short of legendary. Sophia quickly became the breakout character of the show, with her biting one-liners, surprising vulnerability, and impeccable timing. Getty stole every scene she was in. The role earned her a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a comedy series in 1988, along with a Golden Globe nomination and a place in the hearts of millions. At an age when most actresses were being forgotten by Hollywood, Estelle Getty became a household name. She appeared in every episode of The Golden Girls, its spin-off, The Golden Palace, and even made crossovers into Empty Nest. Her fame soared, and she used it not just for entertainment, but also for advocacy, supporting AIDS awareness and LGBTQ+ rights. Getty proved that talent, perseverance, and authenticity could defy ageism and stereotypes in Hollywood. for a woman who waited decades for her big break. Her success as Sophia was more than fame. It was redemption. Estelle Getty's lasting achievements. Estelle Getty may have found fame later in life, but her accomplishments in the entertainment industry are both impactful and enduring. Her role as Sophia Petrillo on The Golden Girls didn't just make her a television icon, it redefined what older women could represent on screen. Getty won a Primetime Emmy Award in 1988 and was nominated for several others, as well as a Golden Globe nomination, solidifying her place among television's greats. Beyond awards, her impact extended to cultural and social realms. Through her portrayal of Sophia, Getty gave visibility to older women as witty, resilient, and multidimensional, breaking a mold that Hollywood rarely challenged. She inspired a new generation of character actors and proved that age is no barrier to brilliance. She also used her fame for causes she cared deeply about. Getty was a vocal advocate for AIDS awareness during the height of the crisis and supported LGBTQ+ rights long before it was widely accepted. Her activism mirrored the bravery of her characters, unapologetically honest, fiercely loyal, and full of heart, in a career that spanned from the stage to the small screen. Estelle Getty left a trail of humor, advocacy, and authenticity. Her legacy is not just measured in laughs or ratings, but in the doors she opened and the norms she challenged. Estelle Getty's hidden struggles. While Estelle Getty was making millions laugh as the feisty and quick-witted Sophia Petrillo, she was quietly enduring personal battles that few ever knew. One of her most significant struggles was her lifelong battle with crippling stage fright and anxiety. Despite her confident delivery on screen, Getty often suffered from intense self-doubt, worrying that she wasn't good enough or that she would forget her lines. This fear was so severe that during the filming of The Golden Girls, she would sometimes freeze on set or require additional rehearsal time compared to her co-stars. Another private hardship was her struggle with learning lines due to what many now believe were early symptoms of dementia, long before it was publicly diagnosed. She had difficulty remembering scripts, and her co-stars, while supportive, later admitted they had to adapt their acting to help her through scenes. Getty was deeply embarrassed by these lapses, often blaming herself and pushing even harder to keep up. Off-screen, Getty's personal life wasn't without pain either. She faced family pressures, the loss of close friends to AIDS, and the emotional toll of being an LGBTQ+ ally in an era when such support often came with backlash. Yet she never wavered in her values, continuing to lend her voice and presence to causes close to her heart, even when it cost her opportunities. Estelle Getty's smile masked many silent struggles, but perhaps that's what made her performances so touching. She understood pain, carried it with grace, and turned it into laughter for others. When the laughter faded, Estelle Getty's silent wish to walk away. As beloved as she was in her role as Sophia Petrillo on The Golden Girls, Estelle Getty secretly struggled with staying on the show. Despite the success, the awards, and the adoration from fans, Getty often felt like an outsider among her co-stars. The cheerful, confident grandmother millions saw on-screen masked a woman who, behind the scenes, was battling intense anxiety and growing insecurity. From early in the show's run, Estelle found herself overwhelmed by the pressures of performance. Unlike her castmates, B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, and Betty White, Getty came from a less extensive stage and television background. She constantly feared that her work didn't measure up. Memorizing lines became a nightmare for her, not only because of stage fright, but also due to what would later be suspected as early signs of dementia. There were times she would break down on set or cry in her dressing room, frustrated and exhausted. The emotional toll grew heavier with each passing season. Estelle confided in close friends and even hinted to the producers that she was considering leaving the series. But the show's success and her love for the fans made it difficult to walk away. She didn't want to disappoint the millions who saw Sophia as the heart of the show. At times, Getty reportedly asked to be written out of specific episodes to rest or manage her mental state. The production team accommodated her quietly, and her co-stars showed compassion. Still, the pressure never truly left. The fear of forgetting lines or not being good enough haunted her throughout all 7 seasons. And yet, she stayed. Not for fame, not for the spotlight, but because, deep down, she believed in the power of laughter. Estelle Getty's desire to quit was never about ungratefulness. It was about the deep emotional cost of pretending everything was fine when, inside, she was falling apart. Estelle Getty's silent health battle. As the years passed after the Golden Girls, Estelle Getty began facing a slow and painful decline in her health. At first, her forgetfulness was brushed off as natural aging or residual anxiety from her acting days. But it soon became clear something more serious was unfolding. Estelle was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, a cruel, degenerative disease that attacks both memory and motor skills. Blending symptoms of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Friends and fans alike were heartbroken to watch as the vibrant woman who had made millions laugh slowly faded into silence. Getty, once quick-witted and sharp, began withdrawing from public appearances. Her speech became slurred, her expressions dulled. She no longer remembered the very lines or roles that had made her famous. Even her closest co-stars were shocked by how rapidly the disease progressed. B. Arthur once admitted in an interview that visiting Estelle in her final years was too painful, as the woman she knew was no longer there. For nearly a decade, Estelle lived in near-complete isolation, cared for by her family and a dedicated team of nurses. She couldn't recognize friends, fans, or even sometimes herself in old photographs. The woman who once embodied the sass and wisdom of Sophia Petrillo now sat quietly, trapped in a body and mind she could no longer control. What made her decline even more tragic was how private it was. Estelle, always humble and shy off camera, had asked that her illness not be widely publicized. Her family respected her wishes, leaving fans to speculate for years why their beloved Golden Girl had seemingly disappeared from the spotlight. Only after her death in 2008 did the full truth emerge. Estelle Getty's final years away from the spotlight. In her final years, Estelle Getty retreated from the spotlight that had once embraced her so warmly. Following the rapid progression of her Lewy body dementia diagnosis, she was no longer able to engage with fans, friends, or even her past. The sharp-tongued, silver-haired matriarch of the Golden Girls became a shadow of the vibrant performer millions had come to love. Her memory faded, her mobility declined, and she withdrew completely into the care of her close family and medical staff in her Los Angeles home. Despite the heartbreaking nature of her condition, Estelle's family made sure she spent her last years in peace and comfort. Her son, Carl Gettelman, remained by her side, fiercely protective of her privacy and dignity. He rarely spoke to the media, honoring Estelle's lifelong preference to keep her personal struggles out of the public eye. Many of her co-stars wished to visit, but her condition made it difficult. Betty White once remarked that Estelle was no longer the Estelle we knew, a sentiment echoed by others who had shared the stage with her. Estelle passed away peacefully on July 22, 2008, just 3 days before her 85th birthday. The official cause was complications from advanced dementia. News of her death rippled through the entertainment world, triggering an outpouring of love from fans and colleagues alike. Tributes came in from across generations, young viewers discovering reruns of The Golden Girls, and longtime admirers who remembered her from her early stage work. Many reflected not only on her talent, but on her kindness, humility, and the joy she had given so generously to the world. She was laid to rest at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, fittingly among other legends of film and television. Though she had long been absent from public life, Estelle Getty's legacy was never forgotten. Her death marked the end of an era, not just for fans of the Golden Girls, but for television itself. She left behind not only memorable performances, but a reminder that strength and laughter can shine brightest in the most unexpected figures. The cast's emotional tribute to Estelle Getty. The passing of Estelle Getty in July 2008 sent shockwaves through the tight-knit family of the Golden Girls, leaving her co-stars heartbroken. Though her health had kept her out of the public eye for years, the news of her death felt like losing a piece of television history and, more deeply, a cherished friend. The emotional tributes from her fellow cast members revealed the profound impact she had made, not just on screen, but in their personal lives. B. Arthur, who played Estelle's daughter Dorothy, expressed a deep sadness over the loss, despite their on-screen banter and occasional off-screen tension. B. called Estelle a brilliant comedic partner and admitted she missed her terribly. In a rare emotional statement, Arthur said, "She was one of a kind, funny, fearless, and a true original. We may have disagreed at times, but I always respected her talent. I will miss her more than words can say." Rue McClanahan, the vivacious Blanche of the group, spoke warmly of Estelle's humility and vulnerability behind the scenes. She didn't realize how loved she was. Rue once reflected, "Estelle could steal a scene with one line, and yet she always worried she wasn't doing enough. Her spirit was gentle and giving." Rue shared how much she had admired Estelle's courage in battling illness privately and praised her for continuing to smile through the hardest moments. Perhaps the most visibly affected was Betty White, the beloved Rose, who openly wept when speaking of Estelle's passing. Betty called her a national treasure and noted that Getty brought a unique sparkle to our set every day. She recalled the way Estelle would rehearse tirelessly to perfect her timing, and how she always knew how to lift the mood with a perfectly timed joke. Even when her memory was fading, Betty added, you could see in her eyes that she still felt the love around her. Their shared grief brought the cast even closer in those final reflections. Though the Golden Girls had ended decades earlier, the bond between these women had endured. Estelle Getty's death wasn't just the end of a chapter. It was the loss of a sister, a confidant, and a small woman with an enormous presence. The silent signs of Estelle Getty's decline. Even during the height of the Golden Girls, subtle signs of Estelle Getty's cognitive decline had already begun to surface. Though she delivered her lines with impeccable timing and charm, close colleagues noticed moments where she struggled with memorization or forgot cues. At the time, many brushed it off as stress or age-related fatigue, but in retrospect, it was the early onset of what would later be diagnosed as Lewy body dementia, a progressive brain disorder often mistaken for Alzheimer's. Getty herself reportedly became increasingly anxious during table reads and rehearsals, sometimes requiring additional coaching or retakes. Her co-stars were supportive, masking their concern with patience and compassion. Still, those quiet stumbles on set, so easily overlooked then, were the first whispers of the health battle she would face in silence for years. Estelle Getty's enduring cultural legacy. Estelle Getty's legacy extends far beyond her role as Sophia Petrillo on The Golden Girls. With her razor-sharp wit, heartfelt performances, and unapologetic strength, she shattered stereotypes about aging and redefined what it meant to be a strong, older woman on television. Sophia wasn't just a comedic character. She became a cultural symbol of resilience, honesty, and fierce maternal love. Beyond the screen, Getty's influence reached into LGBTQ+ advocacy and AIDS awareness, causes she championed both publicly and privately. Her courage, humor, and unwavering sense of justice continue to inspire generations. Estelle Getty didn't just act, she empowered, she challenged norms, and she reminded the world that age was never a barrier to relevance or brilliance.